Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Dynasty Drip. Today, we're going to be doing an ESPN mock draft. Get you guys ready for your redraft leagues this year. I'm going to be covering different draft strategies on different websites as well, because all these different websites have different ADPs. Today, we're going to be doing ESPN draft strategy, and we're going to be covering zero wide receiver, a very and to potentially get an edge on your league mates by going zero wide receiver. We're sitting here in the fourth slot. So I'm probably just assuming we're going to get CeeDee Lamb here. Now, something crazy could happen. Jamar Chase, Jahmyr Gibbs go with the first two picks. Bijan Jefferson, most likely to go. We'll see what happens. So in general, if I was doing it based on my total rankings, I would take Bijan Robinson here. But for the sake of the video, I want to go over a zero RB strategy. So we're going to go with CeeDee Lamb to start off this PPR draft over here on ESPN. We're going to see how this plays out. I mean, the basic idea is going to be to absolutely hammer wide receiver early, probably getting our first three picks all as wide receivers. And then we'll kind of see from there. At that point, maybe we go tight end or quarterback if we really like the value of someone. Most likely, though, we might probably, and in general, you probably go RB there the way I like to play it. But some people will really hammer the zero running back meta where they won't take a running back till round 5, 6, or 7 or something, and really kind of have those be just more mid-round picks where you're just trying to hit high on some high upside guys. But I kind of like to do a modified zero RB strategy. I don't really personally like to wait that long. I just don't really think it's an effective way to play fantasy football. But I do think I have been competitive, and I have won leagues where I've started with 3 straight wide receivers if they are the best possible players there. And that's kind of what we're going to cover today is how do you draft if all of the best values are wide receivers for the first couple rounds, and how do you pivot and kind of win your league from that point on? So hopefully you guys learned something from today's video. If you do, make sure to subscribe, like the video, shoot me a comment how your drafts are going, when your draft is, any questions you have specifically about your draft. I'm here to help, and I would love to help you as well. But kind of just coming around this turn, pretty early picks here for Brian Thomas, AJ Brown, Drake London. We'll see how this turns out zero wide receiver wise. Like I'm curious if some running backs, like that's great value on Malik Neighbors here at 2.5. Curious to see how this is going to play out. With a zero RB kind of build, though, players we might be looking at in this range would be guys like Devontae Adams, Ladd McConkey, and T. Higgins. I personally do really like JSN as well, and I may be forced into taking him. I think he's just being a little undervalued personally right now. But that's just me. I think we'll see how this kind of plays out. I do think there's some players here that I probably would take over some players if I wasn't going with the zero RB approach. And for that reason, I think we may have to do, I think this is fine. I think I'm pretty fine taking Devontae Adams here. I personally would take him over T. Higgins. Just think a little more upside in general. He's shown he's going to be a little healthier. We'll see what happens with Stafford, though. I think that's the part that's going to be a little sketchy about taking some of these Rams wide receivers a little early. But in general, we're going to stick with the strategy. I would love to get JSN on the turn here. I would obviously take Ladd McConkey as well. And I honestly could have gone Ladd McConkey in round 2. I think I bumped him down just a couple spots with Keenan Allen coming there. I'm not super concerned, but I am paying enough attention. But wow, is JSN just underrated and undervalued on ESPN right now. Like this should be your 3rd round pick in every single ESPN league if you have a chance, is to just take Jackson Smith and Jigba and just move on. Like it's just a crazy value right now in all draft. And so I'm just going to take advantage of it. And we've already gone through wide receivers here. So we're going to take a look coming back, running back wise, who are going to be some of the targets we're going to be looking at if we are going zero RB. And we may even go a little further than possible, depending on who is still there at the wide receiver position. I think it kind of depends. At some point, we kind of break out of this tier, and it does kind of end here for me. So I think I got 3 guys from that really elite tier. curious to see quarterback-wise what happens here if Jalen Daniels or Jalen Hurts slips around to the 4th round. I wouldn't really hate targeting one of them in a 0 RB build. I'm not going to take Burrow or Mahomes this early at all. I'm not touching Baker Mayfield in this range either. 6-point passing touchdown, I think Burrow could be bumped up as well to that range. But in general, I'm just not really one to go for those elite kind of quarterbacks early. It's just not how I like to play. And I prefer to just try and have success with more late round quarterbacks, to be honest. I think George Kittle is another guy I would definitely take here in the 4th round. So I think we'll kind of see when it comes back around. Still quite a bit of picks before we are going to be up on the clock here. So for that reason, I will pull up the board so everyone can take a peek at it. So Burrow and Evans go on the turn. Chuba Hubbard. Not too many running backs. 5 quarterbacks went in round 3, which to me is pretty crazy. It's just really not how I like to play. I just don't really think the value is going to be there to return kind of what they're going to give and what you're taking away by taking them. Of course, it's nice to have Jalen Hurts, but you're losing so much value by taking Hurts because you are not getting a Lad McConkey or a George Kittle or an Alvin Kamara, all players I really like in this range of a draft. So I think we're going to be interesting to see who's going to be available come my pick here. I don't hate Metcalf in this range. Same with Marvin Harrison. But I don't really know if that's going to be of the best benefit to my team specifically, just with the build we're going with. So for me, I am going to take a chance on probably a running. This is just tough. This is pretty gross. So I think I actually am just going to dig in and we're going to go Marvin Harrison and we're going to go full 0 running back here and really try to have just the best wide receiver core in our league and see if we can pull it off with some late running backs. The reason I decided to pivot is I just felt it was a little too early to take a couple of these players. I really do like Travion Henderson. I'm a dynasty guy. I just felt it was a little early for me personally there. And I think there's some other players coming up that in a 0 RB build, you kind of can stack some of these positions and then just absolutely hammer running back like 4 or 5 in a row to really get the edge on your league. So since we are going with the 0 RB build, I think Mahomes would be an interesting pick here. If he does swing around and doesn't get drafted right here in front of me, I would feel pretty comfortable taking him. Curious who got picked there, Calvin Ridley. I'm out on Garrett Wilson personally, so he's not really a guy I'm trying to draft per se. So we're going to go with Patrick Mahomes here on this 0 RB build. CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Marvin Harrison, Patrick Mahomes. We may take a peek at tight end here. I think Laporta and Hawkinson I would be comfortable taking with my 6th round pick. I'm not going to reach any farther than those guys. If we are going to start taking some running backs, though, I think Tony Pollard, David Montgomery are guys I don't mind targeting at all in this range. I'm not really going for Pacheco yet. If he slips closer to maybe the 7th round, I would feel comfortable. And once we kind of start getting to the 8th round, guys like Joe Mixon, Jalen Warren, J.K. Dobbins, I think those guys really start to come in. And then later, there's a bunch of guys as well I like to target. And that's kind of going to be the strategy here is we have 4 just amazing wide receivers, and we kind of can just ignore wide receiver now until maybe later in the draft, because that's kind of the point, right? Is that you're going to get some stud wide receivers, with the exception maybe being Devonta Smith, but we just have other holes in our team here. So I definitely think I'm going to be looking at running back or tight end with this next pick. And with both the tight ends that I would have potentially targeted in Sam Laporta and TJ Hawkinson going in the 5th round, as we can see here, TJ Hawkinson went at 6'4", and Sam Laporta went at 5'11". So both of those players went since my last pick. So I think this is going to be a pretty good time to take potentially our first running back on the team. I'm hoping Tony Pollard falls to me. I think he could have a pretty good start to the season and just kind of solidify, at least have a good starter. And then we can kind of see what happens. In general, when you're playing a 0 wide receiver not zero wide receiver, a zero RB build, you're getting some guys that, yes, have the upside to maybe be your starters, but you're also trying to play the waiver wire really heavily. You're trying to hit on maybe some murky backfields to get your RB2 or potential RB1. Or, do we take a Aaron Jones, take the risk? Do we take a Jalen Warren that he beats out Caleb Johnson? Do we take J.K. Dobbins? These are guys that I really don't mind. They're guys I've spoken about on the channel before, that they are targets of mine. And I have some later targets as well I really like. So I think in general, Aaron Jones would be a pretty good pick here. If we come out with Aaron Jones, I'd be very, very happy. And then we can load up even more, maybe get 2 more running backs with our next 2 picks. Tight end wise, I mean, I think Tucker Kraft is a guy I want to keep an eye on, maybe for my 8th or 9th round pick. At this point, I don't really want to reach on Andrews or Kelsey. I do think Njoku has gotten a lot more interesting with Flacco being named the starter, though. So definitely keep that in mind for your fantasy drafts. Because I think some of these Browns pass catchers could get off to hotter starts than we all kind of thought. So I'm going to go with a running back here. I personally am not in on Caleb Johnson as much as some other people. So I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins. I still think he's going to come and be at least the starter to start the season. And that's what I'm looking for in this zero RB build, is that I'm looking for guys in Tony Pollard and J.K. Dobbins that I can put in my lineup week 1. And then I can play the waiver wire to kind of find what are potentially maybe a league winning guy. Like, does a Kyron Williams pop up? Does trying to think someone's from other years. That's the point if you're playing the zero RB strategies, that you're going to have to hit on something. But man, is there a lot of wide receiver depth in these leagues. Like, there really just is, especially if people are hammering running back. Like, the wide receivers just stick around for so long. So we're going to be going to the 8th round here. I think I may be looking to actually go probably another running back. I think Jalen Warren is someone that I would be very interested in. And then at this point, I would be fine taking Caleb Johnson. But in that order for me, I probably would take Jalen Warren before Caleb Johnson. I just think he probably is going to end up being the starter for that team. Some other late guys I don't mind targeting is guys like Jordan Mason and Tank Bigsby and Trey Benson. So I'm just going to queue them up so they're around. Some of them already went. Jalen Warren just went. Caleb Johnson just went. Travis Kelce goes. Travis Hunter goes. Chris Godwin goes. Brock Purdy here, going more of like a late QB. I still think I feel fine with Mahomes here in the 5th. When you're going with this kind of build, it's kind of okay. Like, the point is you don't want to waste your picks on running backs who could potentially get hurt or whatever. This isn't usually my favorite strategy. And if I were to talk to a beginner, I would probably not recommend going with a zero RB strategy. But we are going to try it out and see how the team looks to see if it's something, or how I would play this strategy, if it is something that you guys specifically like to go with for your teams. So with the way some of these tight ends are going, I think I am going to go tight end here. Tucker Kraft would be my number 1 choice. David Njoku would be my number 2. Tucker Kraft goes. So we're going to snag David Njoku onto this team. And that is our starting lineup for now. And I think basically at this point, I would love to probably get 1 more wide receiver. And then I'm probably going to hammer probably 3 more running backs, I would say, before I even address anything else on my roster. I think this next pick, though, may or may not be my wide receiver. We're going to see who is there. I like the value for Ricky Pearsall. I like the value for Emeka Egbuka. I think both of these guys are way too far down the list in a ESPN sense. And for me, they're guys that should really be on your radar, just the way the ADP is slotting up on ESPN and the way the rankings are being presented to the rest of your league. So we're going to go with Ricky Pearsall here. I think it's a great value. Brandon Ayuk's not going to start the season. Ricky Pearsall has a chance to absolutely break out this year. And I think just where he's going in drafts is potentially league-winning upside if he hits. I think wide receivers have hit in San Francisco. A lot of times it's due to efficiency, so we'll see. but you're not having to pay very high prices at all for Ricky Pearsall. So he's absolutely a guy I'm targeting, especially on the ESPN platform, just where he's going. So with our 10th round pick, like I said, I think it's time for me. I'm probably just going to take 3 running backs in a row. Now we need the depth, and here's where you have to really hit on someone if you go with the 0 RB approach, is we're going to need to take probably 4 more running backs on this build, and we're going to hope that we can get a potential league winner out of these guys. So we're going to be targeting what are potentially murky backfields or high upside backups, such as a Trey Benson, who could be a league winner if anything were to happen to James Conner in Arizona. Now, it's not the end of the world if he doesn't go. I think another player like that, a Zach Charbonnet, Braylon Allen, another guy. I'm just queuing up players that I am interested in getting onto this team. I think Nick Chubb is actually a sneaky value late as well. Travis Etienne, I would take him behind Tank Bigsby. But same thing, he's coming from a murky backfield, so he has the upside that if we are unable to project, which no one really knows exactly how the Jacksonville backfield's going to play out, that he has a chance to be the guy from this backfield. But as you guys can tell, a lot of these running backs are starting to go, so we're going to see who's left for our 10th round pick here. Jordan Mason, Stevenson, Scadaboo, Tank Bigsby, all going in between my Ricky Pearsall pick here. Maybe I could have waited, but in general, I didn't really care too much with these running backs. It's more that I'm kind of trying to play the numbers game at this point and just get enough of these guys onto my team. So we're going to go Trey Benson here, and we're going to follow that up with another running back. I think Rachaad White is another guy that could be in this kind of range. Tyler Algier, maybe. I think same thing. You know, I don't know if I'm as excited about Tyler Algier. I think I would rather go after a Trey Benson or a Zach Charbonnet personally, or even the upside of a Braylon Allen. But I understand if you're rocking with Bijan, it's probably a smart time to kind of target Algier if you like to play more of a handcuff game. It's not necessarily how I like to play, but I understand it, and I respect people that like to play that way. Getting one, especially if it's a clear handcuff like Tyler Algier. So coming up next here, curious to see who's going to go. I really don't mind taking Travis Etienne as he goes. So we're left with some other choices here. I'm going to go Braylon Allen. Upside guy, young guy, new coaching staff. There's a chance they give him more run than he was given under the last regime. Breece Hall has definitely fallen in where he's going these days. I mean, he was a first-round pick. I think he goes in, the 4th? Let's see where he went in this draft. Like, he was definitely there in, like, the 3rd or 4th round. 5-1. Breece Hall going in the 5th round. That's after James Conner, after Chuba Hubbard, Kenneth Walker. Like, he I don't know if he's a value, but the thing is, if Breece Hall is going to fall 4 rounds of value since last year, Braylon Allen is the reason for that, and Braylon Allen should be bumped up. So I think I'm really happy to learn that he really hasn't been yet and could be a great late round pick for you guys. So coming into our 12th round here, I think Rachaad White would be a good pick. I think Nick Chubb would be a good pick. I'm going to click Jaden Blue as well. Another guy from a murky backfield. Nick Chubb, really, the only reason I'd be targeting him, potentially Joe Mixon doesn't start the season. I'm not super afraid yet, but, you know, get another body in there for me and see what kind of happens. There goes Rachaad White. Let's see what's going to happen here. Tyler Algier goes. I wonder if that was to the Bijan owner. Nope, was not to the Bijan owner. Just time to start taking some of these running backs off the board, though. And obviously, you guys, this is another great one here, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, especially so far down on the ESPN ranks here that this could be your late round pick in all your drafts. He's a guy I would be targeting, especially if you're drafting right now. If anything happens to Brian Robinson where he actually does end up trading this guy's going to start to fly up the draft board, and you could have gotten him for just like an absolute steal of a value if you were to have drafted right now and gotten advantage of that. So we're going to play kind of the A game here. I'm going to take Nick Chubb right now, and then I'm going to aim to get maybe Krosky Merritt here in the 13th. Like I said, just absolutely loading up on running backs at this point. And that's how we're going to do it. I mean, we have very, very strong wide receivers, and we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs and really be ready to play the waiver wire if we're going with this kind of build. It's not necessarily my favorite strategy, but I do think it is viable. And a lot of the reason is that in general, season-ending injuries tend to happen for running backs more. So you're hopefully dodging a Christian McCaffrey situation from last year by not spending your elite picks on those players. You're able to keep some of your first round. I'll probably have my first 4-round picks, and they probably won't have those sort of injuries. So moving next, we get one more player onto this team. I may even look at running back again, but I am going to take a peek at the wide receiver ranks to see if there's guys I really like. I don't hate Luther Burden in this range, but if we're going with this build, I think adding another late round running back really makes the most sense. I might even double up here with Woody Marks because we got Nick Chubb. Take a shot on both of the guys in Houston to maybe come out with what's a starter to start the year, at least get us by until we can figure out kind of what the Houston backfield is going to do when Joe Mixon comes back. And we're just going to try to get ahead of this. I mean, if we draft him here in the 14th round, we draft Woody Marks, a good pass catcher coming out of USC, a rookie. Those of you guys that play Dynasty might be a little more familiar with him. Redraft, you might be first time you've ever heard his name, and that's totally fine. If we're drafting now, we draft him. It turns out Joe Mixon returns week 1. Like we get a news report that Mixon returned week 1. You just cut Woody Marks. That's totally fine. And you can pick up someone off the waiver wire. There's going to be some guys out there that are going undrafted. I absolutely promise you that are going to be worth the stash on the bottom end of your redraft roster, whether it's just even a guy like Dylan Sampson or who really knows, DJ Giddens, another one. But we're going to take Woody Marks and go really hard with the 0 RB approach. And on ESPN, they don't allow you to kind of game theory it. Something I do like to do, if you are allowed to do it, is I'll take a couple extra running backs instead of taking my kicker or my defense, just in case, a couple extra running backs on the roster. Who knows what happens before the season starts, what injury could occur. And just because you were able to do it, so I'm going to go ahead and take one of my favorite late round defenses here, the Giants. I just think they potentially have the chance to get a lot of sacks this year. Yes, there are better defenses than them, but I'm just going to draft them to show you a guys, one that I think out of left field could be a little better than you think. I think if I had my choice of any defense, can't go wrong with the Ravens. Chiefs are always a good bet. The Broncos would be my number one choice here, but I really haven't looked in too much, and I really try not to overthink defenses here. Kicker-wise, go with your gut. I mean, obviously, kickers in good offenses are usually the ones I'm trying to target. So if I'm looking here, I think Butker would be a good pick. I think McManus would be a good pick. Cardi usually is pretty good. Will Lutz is a good kicker as well. One that could be fun, just to see what happens, Cam Little. He's a guy I've been taking just in my mocks. We'll see. I might start the season with him. He hit that 70-yarder in the preseason, so maybe this dude just has an absolute cannon of a leg, and he's going to be ripping some really long field goals. So he's a guy, if you don't really get your favorite kicker and you're looking for someone exciting before you kind of figure out which kicker to settle on, I think Cam Little could be a fun one. So I'm going to take him in this mock unless I get sniped on him, just for fun. I'm on the clock. Obviously, Harrison Butker's there, but this is a mock draft. I would take Butker over this guy, but I do think Cam Little's an exciting one to take, and I like taking him. It is a mock draft. I am here to have fun. So in general, we're going to look at our team here. We got CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison, Patty Mahomes, Tony Pollard, J.K. Dobbins, David Njoku, Ricky Pearsall, Trey Benson, Braylon Allen, Nick Chubb, Ja'Cory Krusty Merritt, Woody Marks, Giants D, Cam Little. That was fun. I think I learned some stuff. I love some of the ADP values you're able to get on ESPN. If that's a video you guys would like to see as well, things I've learned from doing my mock drafts on ESPN, drop that in the comments. I would definitely consider making that. If you want to join our channel, please hit subscribe. Please hit like. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We need all the help we can. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you.